Uh, the only way that I think we would know if the cycle is over is if we get a couple of weekly closes below the 50-week moving average. That has been, looking back, historically speaking, that has been a very consistent indicator here for, timing the end of the cycle. If you get a couple of closes below the 50-week, then the cycle is usually over. But with what we know about what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and President Trump are looking to do in terms of expanding, credit impulse in the United States, man, I don't
Buffalo
think that we
Bill.
are anywhere. Yeah, Buffalo Bill. Did you read that article, Paulo? Yeah, man, that was a really great article that he wrote, I think. But I don't think that we're anywhere near the end of the cycle. I think that, I think that we've got several months left where we're going to see real euphoria. And I think that after that euphoria peters out, then we'll have a correction, but from much higher levels. So, yeah, which asset to buy though? It wouldn't be MSTR for me. I would take a look at spot instead. And how do you track it? Not quite sure. How do you track those flows? Not quite sure. But it would be easy enough to find out. Just prompt Claude, prompt Grok, and then you could build a model based on that. That would be easy enough to do. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Justin, did you have your hand raised there for a moment? Want to
It
just
was an accident, I think. I think I was just in deep thought and it thought that I had my hand raised. But this is all interesting. I love Jury's comparison of what we do. Because whenever I look at those, like the MSTR and things of that sort, and I think about it, I'm like, even it feels like it's getting cute. If I already know how to buy Ethereum and I know how to buy Bitcoin and I know how to lend and borrow it and I know how to hedge a little bit, then it seems like, I mean, it seems complicated to the average person, but for me, it seems like more trying to get cute if I'm trying to go through MSTR, go through someone else in order to accomplish something that I already know how to handle on my own, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think that, those digital asset treasury companies, it's an unproven model, I think. But will it perform well if number go up? Well, I think yeah. If Bitcoin and ETH appreciate, then I think those digital asset treasury companies will perform well. But something that I wanted to just touch on one more time is this idea that liquidity has been flowing into gold rather than into Bitcoin. Um, or other digital assets. And, as gold has basically just gone parabolic, there's been a lot of speculation that, um, similar to how there was a so-called lag between the M2 money supply and Bitcoin's price, there are some people out there now saying that, well, there might be a similar lag between the price of gold and the price of Bitcoin. And there has been, some type of, lagging correlation there where gold will rip. And then once gold starts to consolidate its gains, then you see Bitcoin start to move to the upside. And maybe that is a rotation from gold into Bitcoin. Remember how we've been talking about rotations from Bitcoin into ETH and from ETH into Sol and large caps, and then a true alt season would be a rotation into literally everything else, all of the mid caps and small caps, and then the final rotation back into Bitcoin at the very end of the bull cycle. It would make sense that there would be a rotation from gold into Bitcoin if liquidity is flowing into gold. And I think it's pretty clear that liquidity is flowing into gold. So, what am I watching to track that? Well, just take a look here at Bitcoin priced in gold terms. And if we see this head and shoulders pattern fail, and the way that you would know that it has failed is if Bitcoin holds support in gold terms and breaks above the right shoulder of this pattern. If Bitcoin breaks above 36 in gold terms, then I think you would be able to confidently say that this head and shoulders pattern has been invalidated and support has held. So that's something worth watching to see if there's a rotation from gold into Bitcoin over the next couple of months. Definitely something worth watching. Something else that is definitely worth watching is, yields, treasury yields, especially at the long end, because what we saw last September when Fed Chair Powell cut by 50 basis points was the long end of the curve pushed higher quickly, and that ended up pushing the dollar higher quickly. But what did Bitcoin do during that period? Bitcoin actually rallied in the face of an appreciating dollar. So, do we see something similar happen this time? After Fed Chair Powell barely cut by 25 basis points the other week, um, we are seeing long end yields push higher. And what I've been saying is that, maybe this is a bit of a headwind for digital assets over the next couple of weeks. And it seems as though, that could be starting to play out. Um, so, yeah, definitely something worth watching here. Now, what I wanted to get into was the concept of expected value. And, rather than just talking through this, I think it would be great if we actually implemented this, the this math here. So let's talk through it and then let's see if we can implement this. Because thinking in terms of probability and thinking in terms of expected move, and then taking it one step further and thinking in terms of expected value, this is the way that I like to think about my portfolio positions.